Tunde was a scavenger in the sprawling city of Lagos. He lived in a cramped, modest apartment with his wife, Adama, and their 2 young children. Despite his humble job of picking through trash, Tunde made enough money to feed his family, though life was always a struggle. They lived simply, in a small apartment with peeling walls, and Tunde worked tirelessly every day, collecting discarded items from wealthy neighborhoods. What he found in the trash, old furniture, bottles, or scraps of food, he either sold or recycled. It was hard work, but it kept his family fed. One day, while Tunde was sifting through a pile of trash behind a busy shopping complex, a friend named Jide approached him. Jide, a man with connections, had a proposal for Tunde. "I know a man," Jide said with a sly grin, "who pays well for special things. If you can gather 7 used sanitary pads every day, he'll pay you 200,000 naira. Tunde recoiled in surprise. Used pads? What would a rich man want with something like that? He asked, baffled. Jide only shrugged. I don't know, but he pays well. Better than any trash you've been collecting. Think about it. What harm is there in it? You can live better, feed your family better. 200,000 naira a day, my friend. The offer seemed too good to be true. Tunde hesitated. It felt wrong, but the promise of such money for so little effort was tempting. His family was struggling, and he wanted to provide them with more than just survival. After much contemplation, Tunde decided to take the offer. The idea of bettering his family's life outweighed the unease he felt. He agreed to meet the rich man. The first time Tunde delivered the 7 sanitary pads, he was paid 200,000 naira, as promised. The money felt like a windfall, and Tunde couldn't believe his luck. He rushed home, eager to show his wife and children the change. That night, they ate a feast they hadn't had in years: rice, stew, and chicken. The next day, Tunde used part of the money to buy new clothes for Adama and the children. They were able to move out of their small apartment and into a nicer place in a better neighborhood. Adama, who had always known Tunde as a hard-working but humble man, noticed the sudden change. Tunde, how did we get this money? How did you manage to get such a large amount? She asked, her eyes searching his face for the truth. Tunde hesitated, then lied. I met a new customer, who's paying more for the trash I collect. They pay better than before, and that's how we've come by this wealth. Adama smiled, relieved that things were improving for their family. She never suspected the truth. For weeks, Tunde continued to gather the 7 used sanitary pads every day. With each delivery, he received 200,000 naira. His family's life improved: new clothes, new furniture, and even a car. Yet, despite all the wealth, Tunde couldn't shake the nagging curiosity about the rich man and what he was doing with the pads. Tunde's newfound wealth began to weigh heavily on him. His desire for more grew, and with it, his thirst for knowledge. He wanted to know the secret behind the pads. Why did the rich man want them? What could he possibly use them for? He couldn't help but wonder if there was something even greater he could gain if he knew the truth. One evening, feeling restless, Tunde went to a local herbalist named Baba Ishu. Baba Ishu was known for his knowledge of ancient practices and dark rituals. Tunde hoped that the herbalist could shed light on the mystery behind the pads. After hearing Tunde's request, Baba Ishu looked him over carefully and then nodded. "The pads," Baba Ishu muttered, "are part of a ritual. A money ritual. A dark one." Tunde's heart raced. "What kind of ritual?" "Every pad," Baba Ishu explained, "contains a connection to the life force of the person who used it. Used pads are linked to the spirit, to energy. When the ritual is performed, wealth is summoned, but it comes at a cost. The more you take, the greater the price." The herbalist's words sent a chill down Tunde's spine. But the temptation of even more wealth was too much for him to ignore. He decided to take matters into his own hands. He began his own dark journey, seeking out the pads for himself to perform the ritual without the rich man's involvement. The desire for wealth consumed him, and he no longer cared about the consequences. As Tunde continued to gather the pads, his life seemed to spiral further out of control. He began to travel to distant neighborhoods, areas far from his own, where no one knew him, to search for the pads. He couldn't afford to let anyone see him collecting them, for fear they would find out about the ritual. Each day, he collected 7 pads, and each day, his wealth grew. But one night, after a long day of searching, Tunde came up short. He had only found 6 pads. His heart raced. The ritual required 7 pads. Without 7, the ritual would be incomplete, and the power it promised would be lost. Frantic, Tunde ran to Baba Ishu's house, but the herbalist told him there was nothing he could do. "You've already gone too far," Baba Ishu warned. "The ritual demands 7. Without it, there will be consequences." Desperation overcame Tunde. He couldn't risk losing everything. The next day, as he continued his search, his mind snapped. The pressure of the ritual, the weight of his greed, and the fear of failure drove him to madness. He ran through the streets of Lagos, tearing at his clothes, shouting incoherently, his mind unraveling under the weight of his choices. When his wife, Adama, saw him in this state, she knew something was horribly wrong. She packed up her children and left him, returning to her family's house. Tunde, in his madness, gave away everything he had accumulated, the new apartment, the clothes, the car, donating it all to a motherless baby's home. In the end, Tunde's insatiable hunger for wealth destroyed him. The riches he had gained through the dark ritual had come at a terrible cost. His life, once full of hope, was now a cautionary tale whispered in the streets of Lagos. Sometimes, the price of greed is madness, and some sacrifices are too high to pay. Thank you for watching. Kindly like, comment, and subscribe for more enchanting tales from our channel.